Everybody, we'll go ahead and get started with our presentations for SPLOST 9. Today, we will be hearing from our public safety group as well as our information technology department. We will kick off our presentations with the presentation by the Sheriff's Office.
Can we take a quick moment? Ms. Bonner, can you help us understand, there's no chair for the work session today. Does the commission need to elect a chair this morning?
You can, sir, if you like. Technically, this is a work session that the administrator.
We don't need a chair?
No, I think she could facilitate. However, if you all would like to select a chair from among you, you most certainly can do that.
If we need to, we can. The mayor says he's on his way, but if we
20
need
minutes.
to.
He'll be here in 20 minutes.
Well, okay. If Commissioner Johnson wants to take, he.
Well, he can most certainly do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning.
On behalf of Sheriff Brantley, we appreciate the opportunity to present what we need for SPLOST 9. I'm going to ask one question, though. How do I make it go forward? Just click. Right there? All right. So our SPLOST 9 has 3 requests. One is for the detention center, one is for law enforcement vehicles, and one is for technology, which has been moved to the IT department. So it's not really a request through us, it's a request through IT. So we'll start with the detention center. The original construction, originally it was constructed most in 1997. They did do some renovation projects, and our main goal at this time is to do a renovation project and an addition to provide us with an additional 300 beds. The expansion of the Charles B. Webster Detention Center will address the critical public safety and infrastructure needs by increasing the housing capacity for the population growth that we've seen. What people have to understand is that even though they'll sometimes say, well, you've got somebody in jail for a speeding ticket or for this or for that, it's basically about 97% of our population is in the jail to stay in the jail until they get bonded out or until they get through court. They're not going anywhere. We don't really hold misdemeanors in our jail. Even with state court, if somebody goes to our jail because of the fact that they have, failed to appear for a speeding ticket, our major does a great job of getting on the phone with the judge and getting them out that day and giving them a new court date. So our problem in the jail is these people really aren't going anywhere. 95% of our population, some of it's because of court pack logs, some of it's just because of the fact of what we have going on in the county. A lot of it is mental health, which that's a whole nother conversation the sheriff would like to have at some point in time. And it takes us quite a while. Anybody that's mental health diagnosed, it's going to take over a year, most likely, to even get them cleared so we can go to the next process. The detention center, built in 1997, was originally designed to hold, it says 1,050, but the major corrected me today, I think it was 1,077. The facility currently holds generally 1,350 a day, way over the current needs. Again, what we need the commissioners to understand is that just because you have a facility that should hold 1,000 doesn't mean you can put 1,000 in there, because you have to classify your inmates. We have to keep gang members away from other gang members. We have to keep mentally health patients away from others. So therefore, if you have a unit that holds 40, but you've only got 20 in that particular unit, you've got 20 beds that aren't being used, and you just can't put other people in there. So you have to build a facility that is actually a lot bigger than the population you are trying to hold. That also includes medical needs and things of that nature. This project is simply not about expansion. It's a critical response to the public safety emergency. Without immediate investment, conditions will continue to deteriorate, placing the county at risk of legal challenges, federal scrutiny, and comprised safety. All you have to do is turn to what's going on in Atlanta in 2 major jails, where they're about to have to spend $1 billion for one jail and over $650 million for another. They're going under federal decrees because they haven't done what needed to be done. It enhances public safety, improves infrastructure. It will contribute to the quality of life in the broader community. It allows us to make arrests of those people who are violent and need to be removed from our community until they go to trial. The expansion represents a responsible long-term investment in public safety that benefits all of Augusta-Richmond County and is part of public safety. Construction of a new housing pod or the existing housing unit that we're looking for will provide an additional bed, 300 additional beds for inmates. Again, It doesn't even solve our problems. It's just getting us slightly to where we need to be. The upgrade in the facility, which is $15 million of the $115 million that we're asking for, is to basically problem solve in our current facility, things that are just outdated and not working. Doors that don't work, replacement or enhancement of surveillance cameras, electronic control methods, monitoring stations, things of that nature. Most of you toured our jail, so you understand what we're talking about. The renovation of the jail kitchen is also extremely important, including the renovation and replacement of aging equipment, space to support a larger inmate population. Even though we don't have 300 more beds right this minute, we still have an overpopulation. Our kitchen's not designed to feed that many people. So we're coming up with multiple problems. I think we just had to spend $50,000 to fix sewer problems because there's so much more going through the systems than they were designed for. Refurbishment of existing inmate housing pods will address the wear and tear that's being caused by the excess number of people that are in our jail. Obviously, we all know where the jail is, out on Fennessy Road. The useful life of this project is approximately 30 years, same as any building similar to that in nature. Obviously, it would depend on population growth and things of that nature. The timeline of this project could possibly be completed by 2028, so long as the funds are bonded and we go in a certain direction. We've started looking at some other options due to the high costs in regards to prefabs and things of that nature, and Ms. Allen is actually going with us on 2 different tours in the immediate future with the major to Aiken and Savannah to look at what they've done. We do have to remember that the previous administration did request twice from previous councils or commissions, I apologize, to put money in to build. And in both cases, it ended up not being in there. Not getting into the politics of it, but they have document after document after document of why this should have been done years ago, and it would have cost a lot less money. Current projected costs, it's $115 million. Annual operating costs is $3 million. So I'm going to break down the $115 million for you. So $15 million is renovations. Renovations? Yes. Yeah, renovations in our current jail. $15 million is renovations in our current jail. The approximate cost to build the 300 beds, if we were to start tomorrow, is $85 million. Based on all the advice we received from everyone in the room, from builders and planners and everything else, we budgeted $100 million simply because of cost inflation by the time it starts and gets going. So that's kind of where we're looking at. There are currently no other committed funding sources other than the potential of SPLOST. And while potential funding avenues such as capital improvement allocations may be explored, SPLOST seems to be the most practical and immediate solution, especially on the needs for the renovations in our current facility. Staffing requirements, what people sometimes don't understand in law enforcement, whether it's the jail or law enforcement, when you say, well, we'll give you 1 new employee. Well, for us, 1 new employee is 4.5 employees because we're 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So for us to get 1 employee, it takes 4.5 employees. And that's because of sick time and things of that nature. But every 1 employee for us is 4.5. The estimate for our employees is $202,560,000 for salary and benefits if we're going into the current model. And I think we gave a 3% increase between now and the opening of the facility. The major, the sheriff will all be glad to speak or answer questions in regards to the detention center, if you have any, before we go to the next area.
Are there any questions surrounding this portion of the presentation? Commissioner Rice?
Sorry, I had my button.
Okay, Commissioner Pulliam?
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. I missed the 85 million. I was writing and
problem.
concentrating on that.
So if we were to start building our new facility today for 300 beds, they estimated it would cost $85 million to build right now with no change orders in today's market value. However, if we don't start for 2 years, they basically said they estimate that it will cost up to another $15 million.
And the 15 million, thank you, the 15 million was just with renovations in the current.
Right, so it's $85 million. If we build in 2 years, it brings us up to $100 million, and we're asking for 115 because the 15 million is going to our current renovations in our facility now. Okay. Nothing to do with the new facility.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Chief, I have a question. I know you and the sheriff's office, you all have participated in the jail population committee meetings. That committee was established to help us kind of get an understanding and really strategize on how to move some cases forward so that the people that you're mentioning in the earlier parts of your presentation could, in fact, either, be processed to another phase of their time span, or perhaps get out. What progress have you seen so far with just making sure that we're getting to that mark? Because I understand the need for additional beds, and I'm supporting you in that one. I just fear that, when we build the new beds, it's going to fill up pretty quickly. But I guess having some type of strategy in place to kind of move things along would kind of help us control costs in the future. Is the committee moving in the right direction, or are you at liberty to kind of speak to that?
I'm gonna let the major.
Okay. If you can come forward, that'd be fine. Thank you.
In a nutshell, we were at 1,350 inmates just a few weeks ago, and with the help of the mayor's office, we were able to get DOC to pick up almost 65 inmates. This morning, we're at 1,290. The Jail Population Committee,
Good morning.
their current target is to move 300 low-hanging fruit inmates through the felony superior court system to get pleas or otherwise probation, put them out of jail. That hasn't happened yet. To facilitate inmate attorney contact, we're almost fully deployed with our 1,200 tablets that we talk about. Then we'll flip the switch where the attorneys don't even have to WebEx or Zoom or come in person. They'll just talk to an inmate on a tablet. All of that is designed, as far as the jail population, overpopulation committee is, to move the inmates quicker through the system. Hadn't happened yet, but we're close. My point being that we were at 1,350, we got it down to 12 something, and this morning we're back at 1,291. If we were to have 300 more beds, we would only take them off the floor and put them in those beds, and we would still be full. But if we could get those 300 in a bed, the other 300 low-hanging fruit out of the facility, we'd be in a more comfortable place and maybe even be able to classify inmates a little bit better.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And we do believe it's a holistic approach, even with the 300 new beds, as the major said. It allows us to start classification processes, which we're not able to do now. Some of y'all see the reports of the incidents of violence that we have in our jail. We're doing everything we can to stop it, but until we can properly classify and separate inmates, it's not going to stop. So now we're paying out medical bills, we're paying out lawsuits and things of that nature that would hopefully stop once we have the new facilities.
Yeah, I think what y'all are doing with the resources that you have is commendable. I know that if you had everything you needed, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. But what y'all are doing with what you have is great. We took the jail tour. We lost Tina Slindak there for like 10 minutes or so. The sheriff had to go find her. But no, you guys are doing a great job of what you have, and so thank you. I'll turn the chairmanship back over to the mayor.
Good morning. My apologies for being tardy. Had another engagement. Let's continue.
Morning, Mayor.
Morning, sir.
Any other questions on the detention facilities? All right, I will move to the next slide. So our vehicle fleet. The mission of our fleet is basically to enhance public safety, operational efficiency within Augusta-Richmond County by implementing a sustainable and physically responsible vehicle replacement program that ensures deputies are equipped with reliable, modern patrol vehicles capable of meeting the demands of professional law enforcement services. This project directly supports public safety. It is needed. We need vehicles that work well, respond to emergencies efficiently, allows us to enforce the law, allows us to community police, that are modern and are essential to maintaining officer safety, response readiness, and public trust. There's other side benefits to vehicles that are in good shape that aren't even listed, and it goes all the way to employee morale, employee retention, things of that nature. It's also that you don't have to have your cars constantly going into the county shop. New vehicles that are getting 26 miles to the gallon versus Crown Vics that are getting 5 miles to the gallon is a big difference to the bottom line once you get there. Strategically, SPLOST has always funded the vehicle replacements for the county. We'd like to shift from reactive to proactive. Expensive vehicles repairs and costs are proactive, cost-controlled replacement cycles. We want to support a long-term operational stability and allow the department to forecast fleet needs more accurately. Additional newer vehicles meet higher emission standards, which supports environmental goals. Right now, due to crashes due to the hurricane, where I believe we lost 6 vehicles and things of that nature. Even with us buying new vehicles, we're still 25 short of where we need to be just in vehicles. On top of that, just so we have a better understanding of what we're dealing with our fleet for law enforcement vehicles, and I've excluded vehicles that are like the SWAT Commander Center and command stations and things at the range. This is just our law enforcement services. We have 103 vehicles that have been in service for 10 to 14 years. And unless it's on the next slide, it got left off and I apologize. We have 54 vehicles that have, 58. We have 58 vehicles that have been in service between 15 and 25 years. A police vehicle is supposed to be in service for 5 years, just so we have an understanding of it. Replacement, we are asking to replace approximately 45 patrol vehicles per year to move forward with a structured 8-year life cycle. It's actually about 8.5 years if we do it at 45 vehicles per year. So we're not even asking to get down to the standard law enforcement of 5 years. We're trying to get it between 8 and 9 years. We'd like to decrease the number of fleet vehicles exceeding 10 years of age of 200,000 more by at least 15% annually. We'd like to minimize out-of-service time for patrol units due to mechanical failure by increasing fleet reliability. We'd like to reduce the average cost of maintenance by at least 10% over the 5 years by a phased replacement. We'd like to leverage SPLOST and capital funding to meet the fleet needs without placing undue strain on the general operating budget. Our goal is to improve reliability, safety, and readiness of the Richmond County Sheriff's Office, to reduce maintenance costs through vehicle downtime, to reduce employee negativity by constantly having to take vehicles to the shop, to increase operational efficiency and response capabilities, and to support the community trust and quality of life through professional public safety presence. Again, our goal is to have approximately 45 new vehicles per year. A police vehicle, so just so everybody understands what's going on in the policing industry, we used to have the Crown Vic. That was the main car. They did away with it. Then they had the Ford Taurus. They did away with it. Then we were able to buy the Dodge Charger. They did away with it. Now we're at SUVs. So an average vehicle that 3 years ago we could buy for approximately $30,000 to $32,000, we're now paying $55,000. No choice. You have to have police certified, pursuit-ready vehicles. You can't just put any old car out there for a police officer. It has to meet the pursuit-rated standardness. Right now you have Ford Explorers and you have Dodge Durangos. That's pretty much, you got a few other options, but that's pretty much what you have. So the pricing has definitely changed a lot. Changing prices have also changed with lights, sirens, and everything else. They've gone up about 20%. We are trying to get it to an 8 to 9 year replacement cycle. While this is still short of the optimal 5 to 6 year industry standard, it's a significant improvement. Consistent annual replacement of fleet vehicles will stabilize operational costs, enhance deputy safety, improve our response capabilities, and ultimately allow for the Sheriff's Office to deliver more reliable public safety services to our citizens. Just a few photos of some of our old cars. We're not even wasting money on new logos and stickers and paint jobs and things like that. But these are cars that are in service. These aren't cars that we're just going and finding somewhere. We've even gotten rid of, and I don't have the exact number in front of me, we've gotten rid of probably about 35 cars this year that were just dilapidated, that fleet said they should have been out of service a long time ago. So we've gotten rid of a lot of cars that we haven't been able to replace. Although the commission was extremely nice with us this year and allowed us to buy off of the lots, and Fleet did a great job of finding us vehicles, so we have been able to replace approximately 30 cars so far this year. This project will last throughout the entire time of SPLOST, so it's not really this will be completed by, because it won't be completed until SPLOST is completed, because the way it normally works is in the past, y'all provided approximately $2 million per year. We're asking approximately $3 million per year, which gets us up for the number of vehicles that we need. This will replace 45 per year. The project total cost is $18 million, which is $3 million per year for vehicles. Lastly, I'm sorry, any questions on vehicles? Lastly, we've put in through the IT department that the Richmond County Sheriff's Office fully supports the Information Technology Department's request for $2 million to modernize and enhance our technology infrastructure. Critical needs include computers, hardware for operational efficiency, surveillance systems and facility cameras for enhanced security, expansion of the real-time crime center, upgraded network and infrastructure and software, The criminals are staying up with technology. We have to as well. Don't know any other way to word that. If we didn't have those flock cameras, we wouldn't solve a lot of murders and a lot of armed robberies and a lot of things that are going on in our community. Just got an email this morning where we solved a burglary where a gentleman had broken into approximately 7 different places. We did that through technology, and we really need to keep our technology updated in order to keep up with our needs. That's our 3 requests for this year. 2 are through us, 1 is through IT. Sheriff, did you have anything else you'd like to add?
Morning. I know it seems like a hard ask, but when we're talking about public safety and creating a safe environment where we have to house inmates and deal with inmate population that's overpopulated in the jail, that's 25%, that's housing 25% more than it's initially intended for, it puts a strain on the building and the people who are working there. One day when we all have some time to sit down, I'm going to show you some of the text messages and some of the emails and some of the messenger messages I get from parents and people who have loved ones that are out there at the jail when there's a problem and they call me or they text me and I immediately reach out and ask the major to go to whatever cell block and check on this kid, make sure he's okay, or can you move him somewhere because of a gang problem. A lot of times you all don't see that and you all may not feel the hurt and how these parents feel when their loved ones are in our facility. And sometimes I have to say, well, ma'am, we don't have nowhere else to put them. You know, like our medical is full of people who may have been shot or may have been stabbed, and then they come to our facility. Once they get well, we have to move them to a pod, and there's a gang that they may have had a conflict with. Then they reach out to us, and we have to move them and try to find some place to store them. And, you know, it's unfortunate that, you know, a lot of times people will say, well, hell, they in jail. They, you know, maybe if they stay out of jail, they wouldn't be in that position. But as the sheriff, that's not a position that I can take, and that's not a position that we should take. They're in our custody. I'm mandated to make sure that they are safe until they go to trial and until they're housed somewhere else. 2 weeks ago, we had a conference over at the Marriott with the Georgia Department of Corrections, and I went over there and met a lot of them. So when we have those problems, we can get them moved out of our jail as early as possible because relationships do matter. And when I show up and they feel like, you know, they can talk to me and they were happy I was there and I was happy to be there. Because every day that we are overcrowded and every day that we can facilitate the movement of inmates, we can save counties, you know, this county funds. And but just thank you all for your time, for allowing us this presentation. And one day I really want to get you all over to our real-time crime center and show you just what that jail really looks like outside of what you saw. I'm talking about an in-depth look at what goes on in our jail. And so then you will have a better understanding of what the deputies who work there actually deal with when it comes to the mental health population at our jail. So, thank you.
Sheriff, thank you so much for being here, sir, and thank you for all that you do to continue to keep our community safe, to you and your team. It's appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Catherine Smith Rice, Commissioner from the 3rd.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to thank Chief Blanchard and Sheriff Brantley for putting this together this morning. It does seem public safety is top priority in this town. It is. You see so much going on and hear so much going on, and I do sympathize with what Sheriff Brantley said about the parents that are calling, worried about their loved ones, and yeah, after going through a tour out there several months ago, I do want to take another tour to see if what the conditions are like. But it seems to me, after just talking about the 3 requests, which was computer technology, vehicle fleet, and what was the other one here? The detention facility, that we definitely need to do what we can in order to get the funds there as best as we can to shape things up there and with our road patrol. But thank you for your presentation, Chief, and y'all being here today. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Rice. Administrator?
Okay, so our next presentation, well, let me speak toward what the sheriff's office. I too have had a tour, and I can assure you the last place I want to go is to jail. So they made sure they scared me straight. No tickets, no anything. The jail, of course, as we all know, and I think each of you have stated, it's in deplorable condition, and there does need to be a lot of maintenance done, because the city has invested a number of dollars in trying to keep things up now for them to be able to do what they're doing. To Commissioner Johnson's point about the jail population, I think that team has done a great job in getting together and having major discussions. I think this governing body did a great job when you approved for the district attorney and the public defender, because that starts the process to get people to trial and get them through the system so that they can actually get out of the respective facility. I know the district attorney has hired his staff, and he's pretty much fully staffed, and I know the public defender currently is working on getting fully staffed. So hopefully that will show some increase or in the timeline, or decrease in the timeline to get them processed through the system. So yes, I am going to definitely be going with the sheriff's office to look at other facilities to see what kind of innovative ways that people have done jails, like in Chatham County and Aiken County, to see if we can what we can get for the amount of dollars that they're seeking. So with that said, I will now turn it over to the marshal's office, who's going to do their presentation for their SPLOST 9 request.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mayor and Commission. I'm Major Jeff Barrett with the Marshal's Office. I'm going to spend a little time with you today, letting you know what our requests are. I appreciate the time, and I'll move right on into it. So we're coming to you today with 3 requests. One is for Joint Security Operations Center. One is for airport security integration, and one for security infrastructure improvements. And I'll take a little time to explain each one of these for you. Establishment of a Joint Security Operations Center. This is something that we started on years ago. It began with an operations center at the substation, which we have since moved to the municipal building. We currently operate 3 different operations centers. We've got the one at the airport, one at the judicial center, and one here in this building. And I encourage all of you to visit our op center here in this building. That's our most active and robust version. But we think that this Joint Security Operations Center would work best as a collaborative effort with other agencies. We've provided this information to the Sheriff's Office, but we also see opportunities with 911, traffic engineering, and other entities who are on the same system. So currently, that includes the Sheriff's Office, Transit, Augusta National, and a few other agencies within the county that have a basic footprint of this enterprise system. So this center approximate cost of the current market is about $1,000 per square foot. We feel a minimum size should be 5,000 square foot, probably 10,000 would be a better fit. We're estimating 22 to 31 months to completion. This would be staffed and monitored 24/7. We believe that this could be an existing facility possibly. We have looked at some of the county properties, and we've had initial interaction with architectural firm on this. We feel that that would be the most cost-effective approach, but we also are willing to look at it as a new construction. Airport security integration. This is one that we've worked with the airport on for several years through many administrations. We feel like the airport integration adds a redundancy that they don't have at this point. They maintain a closed system, but with the configuration that we have with our enterprise system, Genetec, we're able to let them have their closed system, but also have a redundant backup should there be a problem that takes their op center down, or if they have a county-wide event that requires integration with the airport's system as well. This would require, like I said, the Genetec conversion, licenses, and then establish internal and external monitoring areas. This would not be open to everyone. We would limit access through the settings in the system to allow proper monitoring only at the times that the airport would request that. Probably one of our greater requests is the security infrastructure improvements. So one of the things we've learned, we've worked hard with IT throughout the 15 years we've been working on this, but keeping those networks secure, updated, and at the level that's necessary to run the equipment and software that we need to keep the system healthy is a challenge. So this is not an exciting project. This is just basic infrastructure. We're talking about fiber, servers, switches, and redundancy. So we feel this is an important, one of the more important requests that we could make so that we can continue to make small improvements continually with the systems that we have. And those are our asks. So if there are any questions.
All right, colleagues, are there any questions? Major, I don't see any.
Very good.
Certainly appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much.
We thank you as well.
Madam Administrator?
Yes, sir. Now we will move into our fire department.
Cut it down, son. Trying to get to the slide presentation. Well, good morning, Mayor Johnson and the governing body. I want to first thank you for allowing me to present to you this morning. Our SPLOST 9 ask really focuses on future building. And whenever you talk about future building, you have to understand why
fire departments exist today? So nationwide, why do we have fire departments? And in my view, fire departments exist solely to enhance the lives of the citizens it serves, period. That's why we exist. And so our focus areas with this SPLOST 9 ask focuses on two things: apparatus plate replacement programs and critical infrastructure. And so we set our projects by priority. Again, focus on a true apparatus replacement program. As you know, our program was left out of the previous SPLOST. So we're asking to, one, focus on apparatus replacement, and number two, building critical fire stations. Along with those asks, we're looking to do turnout gear replacement, fire accountability initiative, building renovations and repairs, training facility and joint operations center, driveway replacement, and a Class A burn building. And I'll go into depth into each of these projects. So our apparatus replacement program aims to replace older units that have reached or exceeded their recommended service life. Aging apparatus cause a drain on community and the fire department and resulting issues such as increased maintenance costs, prolonged downtime, and failure to meet current standards, even possibly affecting our ISO rating. So our comprehensive replacement program focuses on maintenance costs, age of the apparatus, mileage, and all of those things incorporate our plan. So we have a specific plan designated for specific units in year 1, year 2, year 3, and year 4. Rebuilding critical infrastructures. We'd like to focus on 3 of our facilities that have currently exceeded their shelf life: Fire Station 9, Fire Station 13, and Fire Station 14. Respectively 58 years old, 43 years old, 53 years old, and 43 years old. And so NFPA sets a standard of the age of fire department as forecast. But over the years, increased call volumes and such actually allow those buildings to deteriorate in advance of that. And so we're looking to focus in with this SPLOST on these particular stations. Station 9 and Station 13 are our busiest in the city. And so providing modern fire stations provide efficient and effective emergency services to the citizens of Augusta, while creating modern, energy-efficient facilities that meets the needs of our suppression operations and our EMS operations. They provide facilities that promote mental and physical health of our firefighters. And they also provide community rooms for training and use by community members and civic groups and nonprofit organizations that really bring our communities together. The aforementioned stations do not contain community rooms. And so this project ensures the continued operational effectiveness of critical emergency response ports. Turnout gear replacement. This project aims to replace expired turnout gear. For those that may not know, our turnout gear has a 10-year shelf life. However, increased call volumes aid to the premature degradation of fire protective clothing. Consistently, turnout gear frequently exhibits excessive wear, damage, and contamination well in advance of that 10 years. So we have to have a true replacement program where we can immediately replace old turnout gear. New programs, fire accountability system. Using our current radio infrastructure, we're looking to provide real-time tracking of firefighters in IDLH environments. That's immediate danger to life hazard. This allows incident commander to be able to track in real time when firefighters are in those conditions, able to track their whereabouts and provide for the safety of our men and women. Building renovations and repairs. And once again, critical infrastructure. Focusing in on our existing facilities and providing structural repairs, roof replacements, facade repairs, ADA accessibility improvements, critical essential systems such as HVAC, electrical, and plumbing, and renovating living quarters, increasing the mental health and well-being of our firefighters. Our future training facility, providing for continued improvement of our future Joint Operations Center. These on-site improvements to the Operations Center will advance the overall functionality and efficiency of the critical hub that will house AFD training in the Sheriff South Precinct. This project centralizes logistics and ensures faster access to critical equipment and supplies, and foster greater interagency cooperation and resource management. Once again, critical infrastructure, driveway repairs. We've identified 3 of our facilities that have sustained significant damage to their structure. And so we're looking to repair the driveways at those facilities. Well-maintained driveways are critical for the safe and rapid egress and heavy fire apparatus during emergencies. Potholes, cracks, and even surfaces can cause damage to expensive fire trucks that lead to slower response times due to careful navigation and even pose a risk or injury to firefighters. Again, focusing on training. Training is one of those truly foundation of our department. And as you know, it is a focus area for me in our department. So we're looking to add a Class A burn building to our department. This burn building will provide cutting-edge, realistic training environment for firefighters to practice live fire suppression, ventilation, search and rescue, and fire behavior recognition. The Class A burn building used combustible materials to create authentic heat, smoke, and fire conditions, which allows firefighters to develop critical decision-making skills and hone techniques under true-to-life stress. Ultimately, this project improves firefighter effectiveness and safety during real emergencies. Now, I do believe we have an opportunity here, and it surrounds the millage rate discussion, particularly as it relates to our fire apparatus and some of these other critical areas. I think creating a sustainable long-term replacement schedule avoids aging fleet and emergency purchases, creating a sustainable program that eliminates one-time emergency purchases, but eliminates the apparatus conversation from the SPLOST conversation moving into the future. So looking long-term and building towards the future, having a true sustainable program that is continual each and every year. And I'll stop there and answer any questions that you may have.
Thanks, Chief Burden. Chair recognizes Commissioner Jordan Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Chief, you had on here some firehouses that you wanted to upgrade. Could you go back to them for me, please? Some of these are, so 58 years old, 53 years old, 44 years old. Are there any, I don't know, let me try to ask it this way. would it help to perhaps maybe consolidate some of the older firehouses that are in the areas to kind of cut back on the need to renovate?
So fire departments and the placement thereof, they're placed specifically, one, to increase response times, but to provide for the needs of that area. And so currently, these locations sit in those areas. To move to an existing station, really, you're really coming back to the same issue that we have currently. They've just been part of our infrastructure for far too long. And so the idea is to either these locations in that same response area in order to increase response times, or either rebuild in their current location.
So for instance, like the Lumpkin Road location, that's kind of close to the Richmond Hill location. So that the proximity between the Lumpkin Road and Richmond Hill, would that distance impact response times for like the Lumpkin Road area? Like how much of a difference would you have between the Lumpkin Road response versus the Richmond Hill Center response?
So the response times is a great conversation. So currently, on average in 2024, our response times to any incident throughout the city is 7 minutes and 15 seconds, which is really good. We've seen improvements over the years in terms of our response time. And when multiple units are responding together, that first unit, you typically gets there in just over 6 minutes. So we're seeing great impact as it relates to response times. But we have to have facilities that allow for that allow those vehicles to be able to function better and respond to the needs of our community.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen the ones over in Harrisburg. I think that one's built in like the 70s or something like that. So I know that we have aging facilities, but again, it's the same conversation that we just had with the sheriff is if you had all the money you needed, we wouldn't be in the position. And it really puts us in a position because everyone has to ask. So, you know, well, I won't speak for the whole body. I'm speaking for myself at this point, just looking at ways that we can perhaps consolidate certain requests just to save money. But I mean, I get it. If you need your stations, you need your stations. I'm also interested in seeing this Blythe station dealt with because they very rarely get the investment that they need. What is the fire response and just the total activity? What has that been like out in the Blythe area?
So interesting enough, 44 years old, that fire station actually is built in such a way that we have to actually tailor the size of the apparatus that we put in that station simply because it won't fit. It's of that age. So really focusing on that area. I know that there's a need for it in that area. But that's definitely something that we need to focus on because the conditions there are such that it is in need of improvement.
I've also, like, even on the, and thank you for that, the Joint Operations Center, this is the second or third Joint Operations Center we've heard from. Are there any plans for like all public safety to just kind of work together on perhaps maybe one Joint Operations System, 911, fire, sheriff's office, marshals? Because both, I mean, the marshal's office just presented a request for like a Joint Operations Center too, which I think is a good idea. But has there been any kind of like overall conversation between each agency on how we can perhaps do a mega center?
That is great. That's a great idea, and that's not one that's unique to this country, right? We've seen that all over the country. As you know, we've been working on our facility for probably about a year, a little over a year now. So definitely a conversation to have.
And with that 1 million that's being requested, is that what we're talking about for the training center that we discussed sometime last year? Would that go into that? Yes. Okay. But okay, I won't go into details right now. All right. Well, those are the only questions I have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Chair recognizes Commissioner from the 7th, Commissioner Slindeck.
Chief Burton, thank you for your presentation. This burn training facility, do you already have a location for that?
Yes, ma'am. So we currently have a burn facility. It's a Class B type facility and really doesn't allow for new and improved ways of training our men and women. So yes, we do have a current facility. current location for this new facility to go to.
Is that the one near Augusta Tech?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so would a new one go on that same site?
On the
or-
same site, yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
okay.
More advanced in terms of technology
Right.
and what we can do for our men and women, but yes.
I just didn't know if you were gonna have to acquire land or anything. You're just gonna build a nicer one
Yes,
there.
ma'am.
Okay. The other thing that I find interesting is, all this discussion about community rooms onto fire stations. You know, I'm all for giving our firefighters everything they need, you know. Is this a new thing? I don't ever remember fire stations having community centers for neighbors to come and
Yes, ma'am. So that concept is not unique to Augusta, not unique to this conversation. It is one that is industry best practices. Because when it comes to a firehouse, so I have a saying, our house is your house, meaning that our house belongs to the community. And so that room kind of operates as a community center, but also as a training facility, as a training room for our firefighters. So it's twofold. So when civic groups and nonprofit organizations or community members need a place to gather and meet and exchange ideas that promote the well-being of our community, what better place to have that than other than the firehouse?
well, perhaps I misunderstood you because, so you're saying that the room that the firefighters would use for their training, is that the same room that you open up to the public, or is it an additional space for the public?
It's the same room. It's the
Okay.
same room.
All right.
It's a classroom type setting that can be utilized for both purposes.
But it's one, the firefighters are the primary users of that.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
then when it
Yes,
wasn't in use, community groups could use that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Chief, I noticed there's always a need to remove blighted properties, and I've heard or read that some fire departments train in these blighted structures as we perhaps look to raise them. Is there any opportunity to partner with the city in a way that these structures that need to be raised and removed, that we could perhaps use these old structures for training opportunities?
Yes, sir. So that has been done over the years for many, many years. However, the state, as it relates to the safety and well-being of our firefighters, there's so many requirements that exist that the state of these buildings have to be in before we can actually put men and women into them, that it really becomes cumbersome for us to allow us to have that sort of live training. I remember myself as a young firefighter being able to do that. Today, again, there's so many stipulations and requirements that are placed on those structures that it really makes it hard for us to be able to utilize. We have had the opportunity to train in larger structures. If I'm not mistaken, the James Brown Arena, before it was demoed, we were able to do some exercises with some of our firefighters and allow them to train in those larger facilities because they're a little more structurally sound than just residential structures. But again, we have to really weigh that on a case-by-case basis, and it really depends on how the structural integrity of those buildings are.
All right, thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
I don't see any other colleagues in the queue. We really appreciate the presentation, appreciate your time.
Right.
Madam Administrator?
Thank you all.
So the next department that will be presenting will be our Information Technology Department. I would like to note that in the previous SPLOST, the Fire Department, as well as the Information Technology Department were left off of the previous SPLOST. So definitely that has caused some concerns as well as some decreased or increased timelines in getting things done to meet both of those departments' needs. So hopefully, by looking at the things that they're requesting, we can try to get a path forward to make sure we can at least start stabilizing the foundation. And as you've heard by various entities, public safety entities, the importance of the technology. So we just want to make sure that you all know that that's why their ask seems to be so large on the fire department as well as the information technology department. All right, I'll turn it over to Mr. Hewitt and Ms. Brown.
Hi, good morning, still morning, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Mayor, Commission, Administration, as well as Clerk of Commission. We appreciate your time. We will be presenting today myself. I'm Veronica Brown, the Information Technology Business Manager, as well as our deputy here, Mr. Gary Hewitt, in Reggie Horn's absent. So we're here today for our priorities for SPLOST 9. So for information technology, we're asking for 15 million for 4 projects. 2 of the projects, our first 2 projects mainly focus in on public safety. Our first priority is our mobile data terminals. That's 1,728,000. Priority number 2, public safety software, 6 million. Priority number 3, our IT server room, our HVAC replacement and infrastructure, 5 million. And priority number 4, software consolidation and replacement, which that will be 2,272,000 for a total of 15 million. And so basically our next slides, we'll do a breakdown for each item and then follow with questions. Okay, so for our first X, that's for our mobile data terminals. You will hear us refer those as our MDTs. We're asking for another replacement cycle. So essentially our MDTs, those are what you see in our deputies' cars. Those are the laptops, what you see there. Right now, our previous SPLOST packages, that's how we've been doing replacements, and we're asking again for this SPLOST package. So if we can continue this process, overall that will reduce maintenance costs, enhance security, as well as provide technology alignment. Our second X is for public safety software enhancements. One of the main ones for the key component is for 911 computer-aided dispatch, as you refer to as our CAD system. The goal there is to add on a live video screening for 911 center, as well as we would like to have a text to 911 to help those who are non-English speaking, as well as those who have any hearing or speech impairments. In addition, that would include real-time location tracking for our public safety. And so that would aid in anything if we had an active shooter incident or any type of search and rescue. And as Chief, as well as the Sheriff mentioned earlier, we have embedded in this Act $2 million for the Sheriff's Office, and that will help with those improvements for software for the jail, investigation, and for their real-time center. Our third X is for our IT server room, HVAC replacement, and infrastructure upgrades. Right now, we have 3 aging computer room air conditioning units. Those often, very often, we have to do a lot of repairs and maintenance for those. And if those fail, we could be in serious trouble. So that is a critical need. In this Act, we also want to include a generator replacement, as well as a UPS upgrade, electrical switch upgrade, closet replacement as well, and of course, fire suppression system for our backup systems. And our fourth and final X is software consolidation and replacement. And for this project, this would entail the city's ability to serve and engage citizens with Augusta with both implementing better citizen engagement tools and enhancing the asset management capabilities. This is needed for our planning and development department to conduct business with citizens through an efficient web-based platform, as well as this would benefit our 911 center, as well as our other call centers, such as the tax commissioner's office and utilities, to assist in delivering continual, faster, and efficient service. Also, our asset management system will help us better forecast costs such as maintenance and repairing for assets. And as you can see, we put a couple outcomes that will be beneficial: citizen satisfaction for one, service responsiveness, collaboration, and it would cause a good cost savings for us because it would lower the maintenance costs and license fees for our legacy programs. Those are our only 4 acts. We really hope for support for this because we did have a lot of other programs, but we really condensed it down that we saw these were the top needs.
Thank you, Ms. Brown, for that presentation. I don't see any colleagues in the queue. My question is, I see most of them are focused around public safety, most of your ask, which is certainly help, especially with the technology. Madam Administrator, I turn it back over to you.
I have one question, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, all right. Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Some of the surveillance, I don't know if I should say surveillance, the cameras that you mentioned,
Yes, sir.
would those be kind of used to help with traffic surveillance and speeding at crosswalks and stuff like that?
Not so much speeding, unless the sheriff decides to use it for that. The initial conversations that we have had are more for surveillance, for downtown activity, for activity at intersections, and where high crime areas are.
Okay. Yeah, I was doing some reading on kind of like how these cameras have been helpful with, cracking down on illegal dumping and just speeding. We had a lot of traffic fatalities, and so those types of things. I mean, there were some situations on the 5th Street Bridge where it was vandalized, and I don't think the cameras were live to catch it. So, I was just interested in knowing, how some of these systems really help us with some of the institutional things we've been trying to address.
And we're currently working with them to expand the systems that they have. They're installing cameras as we speak. This is a lot of infrastructure for those cameras to help them get them back to their crime center, as well as the cameras themselves.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Madam Administrator.
One last thing we'd like to add, some of this infrastructure that we're talking about here is just like the fire department. We have air conditioners that are over 30 years old. We're running UPSs and generators that are over 30 years old. And every request that you will get will involve information technology for SPLOST. Whether it's a patrol car, a firehouse, a fire apparatus, every request you receive will involve information technology. And these items are needed to support these agencies.
Okay. Thank you guys very much. Minister Allen.
Yes, sir. Now we will go to our transit department.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Good
Commissioners,
morning, Director.
Madam Administrator. I want to talk to you about 2 projects that I am requesting for our transit department. Those 2 projects are our grant funding matching and our Broad Street transfer facility replacement. Okay, there we go. So my ask is for $21,457,180. The 2 projects that I will discuss with you, starting with our grant matching fund. I'm asking for these grant matching dollars because grants are the lifeblood of Augusta Transit. This is how we get all of our capital needs that we have. And we have to be able to replace fare boxes and vehicles, support vehicles, buses, and also be able to do some of the things that we requested to do is going to South Augusta and doing the airport and also the industrial park that has become a main focus in getting people to jobs. So as we move forward with that, we apply for grants, and I told you that it's most often than not requires a local match, because occasionally there will be times that we will apply for a grant that we can get 100% funding, but that is not often. The grants are competitive and apportionments with a breakdown of 80% from the federal and 20% local match. We have been doing the electric buses at this time, and they are meeting 90-10, which has been a great opportunity for us. I'm asking for this match because right now I need $2,026,026 to match $12 million that we receive in a competitive grant from the FTA. And we were awarded that grant in 2024, but I have not put it forward because I don't have the match for it. That grant allows us to get 6 more vehicles, 6 more electric. We have 5 coming, and this will let us get 6 more, along with an in-ground charging station at our transfer facility, so that when the buses come in on their break, they can get a charge and then go back on the road. The main charging will be at, of course, Regency Boulevard. We will also have a simulator, and that simulator allows for workforce development with our operators and with others that need training, like we partnered with Augusta Tech. And that the grants become available, we want to be able to apply for those funds without looking to the general fund, because that is our only source to go to the general fund to get a match. We were unable to get funding through the TIA funds and also with the general fund this time. So we're asking for the SPLOST funds to fulfill this need so we won't have to rely on the general fund so much. A second project is our Broad Street Transfer Facility. I put a couple of pictures so you could see, how it looks. It's just, it's been there since 1991. It's depressing, obsolete. We have ADA compliance limitations. We can only do so much, and we must be ADA compliant. We have modal capabilities that are limited. Right now, we have Southeastern Stages coming in. They're with us, and we gave, one of our bays to them to utilize. But just the way it looks, and you can see all of the dirt and everything around it, it just perpetuates a stereotype that we do not like to have. And people want to say that transit is just for poor people, but transit is for everyone. And we're trying to improve that. And this is just an aerial view of the spot that we have right now at 1546 Broad Street, so you could just see where we're located. This is a potential look. This is not the look, but this is a potential look at what it could look like if we redid that facility totally. Take down the one we have and build a brand new facility. We would have a useful life of 40 years. It would enhance the view coming in, because if I go, can I go back one? So, there we go. No. Forward. Okay. Thank you for helping me. Oh. Right there, right there. Okay, thank you, dear. So I wanted to go back to this real quick just to make a point of talking about the way that we look. And if you look at our footprint where we sit, we're right there at Broad Street and St. Sebastian. So you have traffic, a lot of traffic coming off of Riverwatch onto St. Sebastian, and of course traveling down Broad Street. So what you see in those pictures that I just showed you is not pleasing when you come off. And I've done it myself. I drive off of there and I look over at the facility just to look at what we have over there. So it's not pleasing to the eye. But as we do something this way, it will be. It will enhance, people coming into the gateway, you look over, you see this beautiful facility sitting there. And so this is why, we wanted to come up with a potential look and design for it. What we'll get from this is a LEED program, which is the Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design Certification. It'll be multimodal accommodations, bikes, ride shares, and of course, still with our Southeastern Stage partner. The facility will provide high-speed internet, digital wayfinding, electric charging, and the virtual fare payments, and ADA compliant. And we're asking, to build a 41,000 square foot building with 2 floors. The first floor being waiting, the second floor being the staff area for administrative. And the reason we're asking 2-story, because with the footprint that we currently have, going up would make better sense for us. So that's why we asked 2-story. The overall building will provide high-quality service and possible for transit, pedestrians, rideshare, inner-city coach. And then the new transfer hub, will reinforce the facility's role as an entrance to the gateway, as I was demonstrating to you as you come off of St. Sebastian. And the project will benefit all of Augusta, Richmond County, existing potential riders, and continue to revitalize the West End and the Harrisburg communities.
Thank you, Director Daugherty. My quick question is regarding TIA funding. Why were we not able to acquire TIA funding for some of your projects?
Because it's my understanding the TIA is for operations solely.
Operations solely.
Yes, so I could not use that for matching fund.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Colleagues, you have any questions?
No questions, but if I may, Mayor Johnson.
Yes, ma'am. Floor is yours, Commissioner
Sorry,
Poole.
I kind of jumped ahead. I apologize, sir. No questions, but thank you so much for your presentation. I know that since I've been on the commission, these asks have come before us quite a few times. And being an advocate for transit, because it's so needed in so many areas, especially areas where people don't have transportation. But I love how you said that it's friendly to all, because as Augusta grows and as we get transients that come into Augusta that are coming from areas where they do utilize public transportation, having it available is very key. But just talking about who's here now and the areas that I represent, transportation can be a roadblock to so many different things, from being able to get to a grocery store, because both my area as well as Commissioner Johnson, what is it now, a food swamp? So from food desert to food swamp. So if it couldn't get any worse, but being able to get to grocery stores, and not only grocery stores, but being able to get to work and to get to work on time. These are a lot of things that some demographics don't have to maybe take into consideration as much, but for our areas, it's literally survival. So we need public transportation so that we can thrive, because I don't even know how to articulate it well, but we're suffering, and we're suffering big time. So thank you so much for that presentation. Transit is needed, and I'm so grateful that even here on the dais, I've heard several of my colleagues state that they would be supporting transportation and transit for dollars that are needed. So thank you very much, Director Daugherty.
All right. Director, thank you so much. Madam Administrator? Does that conclude our presentations for today?
That concludes our presentations for today. Just a couple of things to apprise you of. I know Commissioner Johnson asked about the drop dead deadline for everything to get submitted to our Board of Elections. There has been conversation with Mr. Doss, and his deadline is for everything to be to him by September 4th. There seem to have been some concerns at the state level in regards to the PCS, the Public Services Commission election. So that has kind of altered some of the timeline. So he would have to have it to the state by September 5th. So we would need to have the documents to be completed at least by August 18th, so that we can have everything signed and everything processed to make sure that he does not have any problems in meeting his deadlines. So that we will send that information in writing as well, but we just found that out, finalized that this morning. The other thing, we have the authorities coming in to speak on July 8th. After that, at the actual, I'll remind you, at the Finance Committee meeting, I will present to you my recommendations, my recommendation on the SPLOST package as, you know, as a whole, and then you will be provided a binder with all of the respective information from all of the entities so that you can look at that for consideration. And then we'll have a conversation that following week and start some additional dialogue on how you want to see some things changed.
All right.
That does it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam. There are no other comments or questions from this body. Hearing or seeing none, we adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you.